Sports talk conversations with a good laugh mixed in. This is the Sports Talk with Thetford and Ashby podcast from Double T 97.3, presented by Cantex Roofing and Construction.
I'm Mike Hebert, owner of Cantex Roofing and Construction. Every day is game day, and we'll get it right when it comes to your roofing, construction, windows, and mirrors. Call Cantex Roofing and Construction today. Together, we are one serving you.
Well, good morning, everybody. Welcome to Sports Talk with Thetford and Ashby. I'm David Thetford, and if you're in Redosa, you can see Gary, because that's where he is this weekend. Run over there and knock on the door. See what he's doing this morning. But, yeah, I've been surprised you a little bit. We've already got a full house, and we're just getting started. But we have a special show here, especially the first part of the show today, is we're going to honor Coach Bobby Davis, longtime Frenship coach who just an amazing record through his coaching career, and we're looking forward to having a good talk. And Jerry Reynolds is here, sitting next to Craig. You see Craig barely there on TV. And Donnie Hart's right here, former Frenship Tiger and Texas Tech Red Raider, and he's going to be speaking at the service today. And it is at 11 at Lake Ridge United Methodist Church, right?
Yes, sir. At
Lake Ridge on 82nd Street there. And I bet there will be a huge crowd. I wish I could go, but we'll still be sitting right here at 11. But anyway, let me tell you about last week and who we had on, because we had on Randy Wink with the Knights of Columbus, and that big kickoff's coming up, Tech Night. Do you ever go out there?
I haven't. I've had kids in high school and high school games. And
yeah, you had time to mess with it.
Yeah, and the other thing I did was did a little Shallow Water Sports Network out there in Shallow Water and did some live streaming and stuff like that.
I know when you did that.
I had a few things going on. But
this is August the 24th.
I know.
You could go. You could go this year.
Volleyball players. I am free this year, so I'll look into that and see if we can.
Well, it's really a cool deal they do, and raising money for the Red Raider Club, and it's going to be on August the 24th. And tickets, I think, if you get them early, they're $30, and if you get them at the door, they're $40. The going band from Raiderland will be there. The cheerleaders. It's always a lot of fun. They'll have a big auction with some really, and what's neat is Coach McGuire is he goes out, and if you buy stuff, he goes out and hands it off to you. Yeah, he gives you a hug every time. Have you been out to practice?
He reminds me a lot of the old guy I used to play for out there at Tech. So he's got a lot of Coach Dykes in him, I think.
Yeah, he does. There's a lot.
He's a good fit for West Texas, and so hadn't got a chance to be at practice some, but we've done some Letterman like luncheons and different things like that I've gone to, and he's been at, and so I think he's a perfect fit for Tech. So
he really is. He really is. And special guest Kenny Perry, and Kenny may talk a little bit, which I hope that works out. Kenny kind of talks real plain. We had him on the show, and I was just sitting there thinking, hang on, Coach, hang on, because he gets right with it. And of course, Wes Kitley, National Track Coach of the Year, and he'll be there as well. So it was good having Randy Wink on, and y'all can go you can get your tickets at Select a Seat. And anyway, that's where you can get tickets to it. It's Thursday. Is that Thursday? No, it's Saturday. Saturday. Today's the 17th, so 7 more. It's Saturday at 130th Street at the Knights of Columbus Hall, 4702 130th. Doors open at 5. Food served at 6:30. And we also had Will Culpepper, who is now head of the Double T Varsity Club, and he was talking about the Hall of Fame class that's going in and the Hall of Honor with Coach Wes Kitley. That's going to be in November. I think that's what he told me. I can't remember. Maybe October. It's the Colorado game.
Yeah. That'd be cool.
Isn't that right, Craig?
I think it's November 9th.
November the 9th.
They'll have
Colorado
the big game, and I think November 8th is the Hall of Honor banquet the night before.
We'll have a bunch of those guys on the show, hopefully. And then Coach Wes Kitley came in and talked about the Hall of Honor and that he's going to be inducted. He's been in every kind of hall of. I don't think there's any more he can be in.
Well, you win championships like he does. I guess that stands to reason.
They put you in there, but he also the main reason we want to have him. We'll talk about the Olympics and all the. We had 11 Texas Tech athletes in the Olympics.
That's crazy, isn't it?
I think that's more than all the other years combined. Now, they weren't all running or throwing or swimming or for America, but they were their native countries.
Yeah.
Pretty
I think
cool.
I saw something that the state of Texas had 17 or 18 athletes or something. Anyway, they finished as a nation, they would have finished 7th in the medal count.
Just Texas.
Just state of Texas.
That's pretty impressive. All right. Well, let me get to it here with Coach Bobby Davis and talking about him. Donnie played at Tech, so your last year at Frenship was in 94? 95.
Well, playing season,
football, 94 football season. How'd y'all do your senior year?
Well, I think we went 6-4. I think it kind of lost the game at the end. It was 'cause back then only 2 teams made the playoffs, so not everybody got a trophy back in those days. And so, and we were in a pretty tough district each of the last 2 years.
Was that? Had you gone to the Little Southwest Conference? Or?
Well, so we were still in 4A.
Oh yeah,
so the year before we made our first playoff appearance in Frenship history in 4A. And Plainview was in the district. They won. We got second. So that was my junior year, and they were state ranked and made a deep playoff run. And then the realignment happened, and all those guys from Plainview graduated. But because of realignment, they fell out of our district. So we went ahead and swooped in another top 10 team in Sweetwater and stuck them in there.
Yeah. So you wanted some revenge against Plainview.
Boy, and Sweetwater's had a few good teams.
Yeah. So that senior year, Sweetwater ended up winning the district, and then we had a game against Estacada, and kind of winner got in, loser was out, and it was a tough one. We came up just a little bit short, but had a great season.
Strong,
yeah, we did. We won a lot early, but it was a lot different Frenship back then than it was eventually for Coach Bobby.
I'll tell you a funny story. When I first grew up, I lived in Denver City, and Denver City was a war horse. I mean, they were one state in 1960. Don Orr was the coach, and he played Frenship a bunch back in those days. Frenship wasn't good at all, and he beat them bad. Well, his last year, he came to play Frenship, and Frenship beat him. He said, "That's it. I'm quitting."
Well, I think Coach Bobby, over the course of the year, especially when he first got to Frenship, there were some situations where he was a little maybe outmanned in some certain matchups. But that changed significantly as the years went on. And I know from a coaching perspective, I coached a couple of years when I first got out of college. And, some of these teams that beat him up were not real excited to put him on the schedule at a certain point later on. So he certainly did have a tremendous impact in turning that program around for sure.
Well, this was, of course, prior to the Denver City days. Bobby wasn't even there then. Jerry, when did you start?
Well, I went out in '89. I was at Monterey, and I left there. Bobby called me, and he had a position, and I gladly accepted that, and glad I did. Chad was going to be a 7th grader. And I knew if he ever got over to Evans, I wouldn't get him out there. So I talked him into going to Frenship. We played tackle in 7th grade at Frenship, and they didn't in Lubbock at the time. Mm-hmm. So that was good. He wanted to do that.
Chad was going to be on the show today, but he had to go. Yeah. What was he do? He's going to help his kid get into college, like you did already.
Decisions on where he's going to go to college.
Where they're going to go to college.
Yeah.
And
he's still being recruited.
Yeah.
I'm sure glad you decided to move to Frenship too. Helped me out a lot to have Chad move in for sure. Got a guy that could throw it a little bit out there.
Yeah, it was fun.
We did.
A lot of fun.
Well, that decision you made, Jerry, has affected him his whole life. Because now, how many years has he been the head baseball coach at Frenship?
15, I think.
He's done an absolutely awesome job. He loves it, doesn't he?
Yes, he does. He does, and Bobby hired him and hired him as a golf coach to get him on the staff, and he liked that. And then he hired him as a secondary coach, moved up on the staff, and we got to coach together. And
how great was that?
That was one of my highlights of my coaching career.
What did you coach mainly?
I was the offensive line coach at the time, and Chad was the quarterback, and I
protect my kid.
I'll tell you a good story. We were out warming up, getting ready for the game, and I told all the line, I called them up and getting them ready to go, and my wife and Del Marie and Lyndon, they were all walking in, and I said, "You see those ladies over there?" And I said, "Y'all know my wife? That one over there, Karen? She had a bedroll and all this stuff." And I said, "If y'all don't keep those guys off of her boy tonight, she's going to kick my ass." And they laughed at me.
A lot of truth to that.
Yeah, there is. When he got sacked, she was looking at you.
Yeah, that happened.
Yeah. Anyway, that's so cool. He was really wanting to be here today, but in fact, he was coming, and then he texted me back and said, I think he had a talk at home, and they decided that it would be better if he went and helped, because that's a big decision. Well, you look at Bobby's career and what he did, and I was listening to Coach Butch Henderson talk about him, and Butch had a lot of success early against Bobby, but that turned around toward the end, and he built that program. He really built that program. You and his coaches and the community, and they're so proud. Hey, they got a street out there. They put his name up there on the street. Yeah. Is there Donnie Hart Way or anything?
No, I'm hoping one day to get a bathroom named after him maybe out there. But no, you talk about the way that they turned that program around. And I think as I've gotten older, you kind of understand sort of what that meant for a guy to come out there and to be in a town that was sort of a suburb of Lubbock that was really at the time its own place, right? You actually had to go to Wolforth, right? Now you're in Wolforth, you don't even know you left Lubbock, right? So it kind of all grew together, and how he had to like blend all that. And I think I think the big testament to him is the staff that he had, and this guy right here, and Coach Don Black, and Carol McDonald, and Lonnie Coos, all those guys could have certainly went other places and built programs of their own, but he was so loyal to them and took such good care of them that they all enjoyed coaching with him, and so it was a team effort. They all are a part of the Bobby Davis legacy, and as the years have gone on, I've noticed even in from the top down, NFL, college, pros, there's not a lot of continuity like that. And the same guys that I walked into that 7th grade locker room with and got introduced to the football program were the same guys that were there when I left, and and they were there long after I left, and so it really made it feel like home. And I think that's why so many guys took so much pride in being Frenship Tigers.
Donnie, one of the things that kind of always impresses me about people like Coach Davis was players like yourself that gravitate back,
right,
to hang around their old coaches, Coach Reynolds, Coach Black, Coach Davis. That shows a lot of respect and a lot of integrity on Coach Davis's part, but a lot of love on their part for each other. And how many of his former players, still talk to him a lot to that day,
Oh, yeah, tons. And that place will be full of them today, I'm sure. And, it's really special for me. Coach Brad was on that staff, and then later on in life he moves out to Shallow and coaches my kid. And, so you go from player coach relationship where they're teaching you these things to a friendship and a mutual respect for one another. And I'm sorry that you had to deal with me when I was a young man. I apologize for that, but
that's part of it.
You guys certainly did show us so many things, and things that I think when you're 17 years old, maybe you don't realize that you're learning those lessons, and then later on down the road, you're like, son of a gun.
Yeah.
That's the mark of a good salesman, right? Yeah. You sold me, and I didn't even know you were selling to me. So, so I was really fortunate and blessed, and I know a lot of the guys feel the same way.
Yeah. How many times, David, do you scratch your head and say, I think Coach knew what he was talking about back then?
Yeah, I do. Well, visiting with Donnie Hart, who former Frenship Tiger football player and Texas Tech Red Raider receiver, and Jerry Reynolds, longtime coach with Bobby Davis, and his son Chad still out Frenship coaching. And just so that y'all know, if you just tuned in, that's who we're talking to. And we're honoring Coach Bobby Davis, who's I didn't count down because it was going to be a higher number over 10, so I stopped counting. But he's in the top 25 all-time wins in Texas high school football history. That's a big deal. I'm telling you.
Yeah,
that's a big deal.
On that list, isn't there?
Yeah, like Gordon Wood and
yes,
W.A. Moore and those kind of names are on that list. And Bobby Davis is on that list.
Yeah, absolutely, and well-deserved. And, like I said, longevity, and got the ship right out there. And I wish we had won more games when we were there, Coach. But, it would have been awesome. It was funny. We were kind of sitting around all talking, and I was visiting with David Thomas, and they were like, well, you can talk about some of the playoff success and different things like that. And I was like, well, what was that like? I'm not real sure, but David, you're going to have to do most of that.
What year did David get out? He was a
see.
big part of that run, wasn't he, of that getting it going?
Yeah, like 05-ish, right?
That was Bobby's last year, 05.
Okay,
so.
maybe 04.
So he was toward the end. He was toward the end of
yeah.
Coach Davis's career.
He and Kendall Briles and those guys, and then, of course, David goes on and wins the national championship at Texas and Super Bowl. And so, pretty good player.
But he didn't play for Texas Tech.
We tried.
We always give David trouble. I hope he knows we're just messing with him. We're so proud of him for what he did, and he had another commitment, or he'd probably be here today. He's been on the show before, but he's we just give all the Longhorns heck as well we should.
Yeah, I mean, he made a conscious decision. He knew what he was getting into.
Yep. But anyway, I just look and Del Marie. I would see them out now, and I'd see them in the gyms and around, and they were always together, and just a great family. And you look at his boys, Brian and Brad and Brent, all coaches for a while. Brian didn't coach that long, did he? But did he coach at Olton and Florida?
Olton, Florida, and then he got in administration.
Yeah, and then and Brad had coached I don't know how many years with his dad, and had a great career at Frenship, and then won a state championship at Grandview or wherever it was.
Yeah.
Zebras.
Yes.
Yeah, Grandview.
Yeah, he's got a zebra tattoo on his arm, and
No, he doesn't.
Yes, he does.
No.
He sure does. State champion. He reserved both arms for state champion. So funny story about that. My daughter Mackie, he coached their mile relay team, and they won the state championship out at Shallow Water. So she's got a tattoo on his arm. I didn't quite make the body.
She got a tattoo of Coach Davis, of Brad.
She does.
And then Brent's long time at San Angelo, and he's gone to Gregory Portland or somewhere like that now.
Yeah, he's a great reporter.
He's had a lot of success at Coach. He got to come back and play Frenship during those. Yeah, did they go against each other, father son?
We did.
Yeah.
Down at San Angelo, matter of fact.
How about that?
Sports talk conversations with a good laugh mixed in. This is the Sports Talk with Thetford and Ashby podcast from Double T 97.3, presented by Cantex Roofing and Construction.
Now, dry cleaners, that's Brent Stravelo. He was playing football at Coronado back when they were beating Frenship a long time ago. But he's the owner and has a group that they've got these Tide dry cleaners all over the state of Texas. I didn't know, but we got two in Lubbock at 4511 98th Street and also at 19th and Quaker. And they just do it different and do it better. And they even have after-hours pickup where you can swing by there and you put your coat in, it swings around there, and you can take it out of the little door that opens up. All right, Lubbock Sports Medicine. Did you get hurt?
Not anything. I was really blessed. I really kind of got out of it scot-free compared to a lot of guys, but I did go over there a time or two for minor things. It really wasn't.
When you did the splits.
Yeah, nothing that required any type of scaffold or anything like that.
Well, it's really amazing that it's such a great team of doctors, and they do. People from all over this part of the world come on to see these doctors at Lubbock Sports Medicine, and they are a great team. You can go to lubbocksportsmed.com and check them out, and they help everybody, not just athletes. They help everybody. So you go see them. They're right over there by that Covenant that's used to be.
And talk about
St.
Olympics. I believe Dr. Kevin Crawford did his fellowship with the U.S. ski team.
He did.
Yep.
He did with the U.S. ski team. They're all fellowship trained, whatever that means.
Which, if you work on these ski teams, probably pretty good.
It's a good place to go. Yeah. All right, Donnie Hart's here, sitting next to me. Jerry Reynolds is next to Craig there, and we're honored to have them here today. They have the service for Bobby Davis at 11 o'clock today at Lake Ridge Methodist Church. They took the word United out of there, but Lake Ridge Methodist Church, 4701 82nd. And he started at Wilson. That was his first coaching job, the Wilson Mustangs. When you get into coaching, when you start out, you don't know where you're going to end up, do you, Jerry? What are your thoughts? Can you remember your first job? Where was it?
My first job was at Cooper because I did not want to move. I just got out of Tech.
Yeah.
And I had an offer from Coach Pete Hurst, and I thought, that's going to be great. My wife was teaching at Roosevelt, and kind of find out they offered her a job at Cooper also. So we were both going to go there.
Yeah.
And I knew Bobby, and at the time he was in post, and he called me after I'd already committed,
Yeah.
And or John Alexander called me. He was his basketball coach. But anyways, I didn't go. Wished I would have, but I coached 2 or 4 years. 2 years at Cooper, and then I went to Post right when Bobby left to go to Cal Allen.
Are you kidding me?
Yep. So I was there for 10 years, I guess, in Post, and then I came back to Lubbock and was at Monterey.
Yeah. Who'd you coach with in Monterey? Coach Odom?
Crutcher.
Yeah. Okay.
Odom had just left, and Mike took the job.
Yeah, Mike Crutcher. He was a piece of work.
Yeah, he hired me over there, and we had a good time. We didn't win a whole lot of ball games, but
so then Bobby called you and said
he had an opening. Roland Murray was his receiver or his offensive coach, and he had an opening, so he hired me, and he moved Brad. Or Brad was offensive coach, and then he let me coach. I coached the tight ends.
Yeah,
that was my job.
What'd you play when you were playing? What position?
Quarterback.
Mm-hmm. Y'all all had to be quarterbacks, didn't they? All had to be quarterbacks, didn't they, Don?
I think this one was pretty good. He ended up out there at Jones Stadium.
I know it. So. What years were you at Tech playing football?
I went in 69 and 73. We finished with the.
Well, I was out there.
The real story is, though, where was he in high school when he went to Tech?
Yeah.
Spur Bulldogs.
Spur Bulldogs.
There are not too many Spur Bulldogs that go to Tech, I'm telling you.
Have you ever been out to Panther Lake at Spur?
I have.
See, not many people know where it is. Isn't that amazing?
That is unreal.
You're driving through a pasture with mesquite bushes. All of a sudden, you come up on the edge, and there's huge rocks. And this beautiful little lake down there.
Yeah, they dam that canyon up, and it's all gyp rock, and it's clear. You can just see forever.
It's amazing. I've been down one time. We went down there, but I find it good to meet somebody that knows where it is. But Spur Bulldogs.
Yeah. Jerry, you were in the coach's office with Bobby and Brad and those guys. What did Bobby have that people, he was like a magnet to other coaches that wanted to coach for him, players that wanted to play for him. What was it that Bobby, coaches just have that it sometimes, and I think Bobby was one of those that had it.
Yes, he did. He was very respected. We all respected him, but we all had fun. It was we look forward to coming to work out. We look forward to coming to coaches' meetings. We look forward to the weekends to put our plan together for our next week's opponent and fix our mistakes that we made against that week. And he was just very organized. He was laid back. I mean, I've seen him when he wasn't so laid back, but most of the time he was laid back. Yeah. And he and Del Marie both. I remember when we first started out there, we'd get back from coaching school and we'd go to work, and Del Marie would schedule a day for all the coaches' wives, girlfriends or whatever, and they would have their little meeting, and they would meet at a restaurant somewhere, and they would eat, and then they had a calendar of all the home games, and everybody would choose a game, and they would host the after-game party at their house, and we'd all kind of a covered dish deal. Everybody would bring food, and we'd sit around. And of course, it's a lot more fun when you won. But
I'm gonna pick that game that we win. Right there.
Everybody who gets picked first. Well, that's so cool. See, that's what it takes. That's how you build a program.
It does, and he, I don't know. He just, I've missed him now for a good while. Because really, Bobby's been gone.
Yeah.
And I think one of the all-time tandems of coaches in this area had to be Coach Davis and Coach Black.
Oh, I'm telling you.
Two of the finest men that coaches have put out. And it just, I was just talking about, don't you know they're having some good conversations right now? Continuing a few that they stopped on, but they're continuing some.
Let me tell you a story about Bobby and Don on the sideline. We'd be in a tight ball game, and all of a sudden, they'd break and make a first down on us, and Bobby would head down to Don, and I mean, he'd scream at him, "Do y'all ever work on tackling?" And Don would just turn and walk off. Looked like a little banty rooster going down through there, and then we get the ball maybe later on in the game, and we might have a back that fumble the ball.
Yeah.
Oh man, here'd come Don looking for Bobby. Hey, y'all ever work on the fumble drill? And And they were
great.
serious, and I didn't know what to think of it at first. And I asked Don, Don, you all right? And he said, oh, yeah, don't worry. Bobby, he's fired me 3 times this year.
He had fire to him.
Yes.
You remember it being all fun?
Yeah, I do. It's kind of funny to hear those stories because, as a player, I think we were pretty isolated from that a lot. I mean, you guys didn't do that. It didn't happen right in front of us like that. They were discreet in their anger towards one another. They always presented a united front to me. The one thing I will say is Don had the better role with the players, I think, because he got to be the good cop. So you had to have a good cop, bad cop there. And so Coach Bobby, a lot of times, I think, had to be the more stern, the more feared, if you will, coach. And so sometimes, the relationship with the players, Don would certainly have that, and then Coach Bobby, though, I think always had the respect of the guys because we all knew who was driving the boat. And so it was a lot of fun. I mean,
great experience.
From the, I think about this now, I'm approaching 50, which is really hard for me to say
Don't
out
tell
loud.
people that. Because you're 50, but we remember when you weren't 50, Donnie.
Well, but the thing is that, it was such a small time you're there, right? Like if you put it in perspective from the time you're in 6th grade to the time you graduate, that's 6 years of your life, right? So it's a very small time of your life, but I can't believe how impactful that 6 years is to your life and how many things you take with you and remember so vividly. So it was really special, and I hope all the young athletes get a chance to be with a group of guys like that in a program like that. Because
I know David will remember this, but as from a fan sitting in the stands, I still have this picture of this guy standing kind of behind the offense in jeans and boots and a coaching shirt. And he doesn't look like he's in the game. He doesn't look like he's saying anything because all these other coaches are running around. And then all of a sudden something tight comes up. You see all these coaches migrate to him, and you can see this wisdom fixing to come out, and all of a sudden.
What do we do, Coach?
Yeah. But from a fan, that's what it looked like. I mean, he had control, and he let his coaches coach. And the results, like you said, David, top 25 in the state of Texas.
I mean, that's a big deal.
I mean, you're in the top 100 in the state of Texas, and you've accomplished a lot. So, what a great coach.
Yeah, and the other funny part about that was, he never wore a headset, and you think like, okay, to be this coach, you got to get all this information and different things like that. But it dawned on me why I didn't wear a headset. It was just because, heck, he was almost in the huddle with us. He would be out to the, he'd be out to the numbers. We had officials trying to get the Frenship staff back on the sideline, but we didn't have, back in those days, they didn't have wireless headsets. So he was hooked to a cable, and we didn't have enough cable to get where he wanted to go. So that's probably why. But no, it was always, when I drive into People's Bank Stadium now, it's hard not to think of the blue jeans and the boots and polyester shirt that was maybe in style about 5 years before, over there on the sideline. So.
But you knew where he was. His presence was there. There's no doubt about that.
He had a real presence about him. He was named. He was inducted into the Texas High School Coaches Association Hall of Honor in 1999. He was the 2002 Texas High School Coaches Association Tom Landry Award winner, and the 2003 Lubbock Chamber of Commerce NAACP Outstanding Service Award, and named by the Wilford Frenship Chamber of Commerce and so many awards. And he at the West Texas Football Classic, which was the ASCO Football Classic, he was inducted into that as well, honored into that, and. Coaching legend. And
you guys hosted that West Texas Coaches Clinic for years and years.
Yeah,
and so
that's
those
right.
guys would all come, and that that says a lot when your peers are willing to come and be at clinics and do that. And I know he's had Coach Mac Brown and Coach Dykes and those type of guys speak. So he did a lot for other coaches as well. So
he did.
He did. I just love to see him. I'd see him, of course, all during the year at basketball games, and he and Del Marie would be there together. And years ago, it was he and Don Black, and they were all there together, and because you could see him more. I could see him at the football games, but there I could talk to him. He always was so cordial, and And but he seemed serious all the time. He seemed like he
and
was
David,
serious.
you brought up a good point. As an athletic coordinator, as well as the head football coach, Coach Davis
athletic
was
director,
at all the events. I mean, he supported all those kids. I can't tell you how many basketball games and track meets that you've seen him at and so forth.
Baseball games.
Yeah, and baseball games and the women's side of it, and he's just he was a true friendship tiger.
He was.
For sure.
He really was. Well, the great legacy they leave, not only their family with Brian and Brad and Brent, but y'all are part of that legacy. Y'all have been a part of his legacy, and it's got to make you feel good when you hate to lose a guy like Coach Davis. It hurts you. Mm-hmm. It hurts you down deep. It's like you lost a family member. And but boy, we're just so thankful for all that he did and all the impact and influence he had, because he had tremendous influence in this with high school football.
No doubt. And these guys, they kind of seem immortal, right, in a way, when you're growing up,
doubt.
like they're going to be there forever. And I think you just you take that for granted as a guy, as a player, and you think they're always going to be there. And I know we've been kind of approaching this day for a while, and so we kind of knew it was coming. Doesn't make it easier, but I know a lot of my teammates and a lot of the older guys and alumni and different things like that. We are truly grateful to be a part of that legacy, a small part of it, and so thankful for not just Coach Bobby, but all the coaching staff, and you talk about Patricia and Linda and Del Marie. I mean, these are all pseudo team moms, right? We all kind of end up being their kids in a way. So emotional time for all of us, but it's truly honored to be a Friendship Tiger.
Well, and you're speaking at the service. We've given all kinds of information for you to share.
Yeah, it was certainly good to be here. Maybe you can help get out some of the nerves. I've got a little bit of anxiety that I might stand up there and just be overwhelmed with the emotions, but I'm going to do the best I can and just let it all come from the heart, and hopefully do justice to what he means to me.
Coach Davis will be proud of you, Donnie.
Well, we'll see. There's been a few times where he's pulled his arm around me and said, "Hey, you need to get it together."
Yeah, he and Coach Black are probably going to be listening together.
Well, thanks. That makes me less nervous.
Yeah. Well, it's such a great. I'm just looking at his family and all the people and his daughter-in-laws and his grandkids and so much, and the thing about Coach Bobby Davis, he's got much more than this family, which is really important to him. But y'all are all family.
Yeah,
I mean that's what I've gotten from y'all, and I think that's what it needed at Friendship, was to bring this community together, because Friendship's a different deal, because it's lots of Lubbock kids that. Now and there's some Wolford kids, and you got to bring all that together, and I think they've done it. They seem like when I go out there to do games, they don't like me.
Well, I think there's a lot of pride in being a Friendship Tiger for sure. I know a lot of guys check the scores every Friday night and see how they're doing, and there's a lot of pride for what they've built, and he's certainly the major reason that all exists. So,
Jerry, any closing thoughts? We get under a minute.
I was just very blessed to have been able to coach with Bobby.
Well, we were blessed to have y'all here today. Thank y'all for taking the time to do this. I know it's a busy day. That's why they're so dressed up. They're going from here to the church, is my guess. And it was an honor to honor Coach Davis today, because he's a coaching legend. He really is. And you guys are too. We appreciate you being here.
Thank you.
Thank you, David.
Sports talk conversations with a good laugh mixed in. This is the Sports Talk with Thetford and Ashby podcast from Double T 97.3, presented by Cantex Roofing and Construction.
I was telling you about Plains Capital here, and there's locations all around Lubbock, and for us old people, we like locations. We like to go to the bank. Isn't that true, Craig?
That is true.
We like to go in the bank
Yep.
and or pull up to the window and sit there forever. But it's just they got lots of locations. Everything's so on the phone and computer nowadays, and Plains has all of that state-of-the-art banking, but for us old people, it's just nice to go in. And they got lots of locations for that. Hey, quarter 4 is out there on Slide Road. Have you been by to see they got the names up now?
I have. Yes, I have.
Looks good.
I've been in the store and nothing has changed. All that great merchandise is there.
Yeah.
And you walk out and the only thing that's changed is the sign.
It's the only thing that's changed.
Yep. People are still great in there, and I can't imagine wanting anything and not finding it in there as far as sporting goods or
awesome store,
sporting wear or apparel.
Fashion. The women's section up there, it's amazing.
Yep.
And a lot of ladies right now, let me tell you this, a lot of ladies right now are looking for stuff to wear to the Tech football games, and men. They got they got the Sideline brand, which is beautiful Tech wear, but great things for the ladies to wear to the football games.
Yep.
And stop in and see them at quarter 4 right there on Slide Road. That's the old Cardinals. Still the same store. Nothing's changed but the name. And Brad White's still the owner, and they can help you. Also, R.C. Taylor Distributing Company here in Lubbock, Texas. And this is another thing that needs to be, you can already get going. You should have probably, but you can still do it because there's, I don't know how many hundreds of booster clubs that have concession stands for football games and basketball and baseball. You need to have an account with R.C. Taylor because they will bring you all that stuff and unload it at your place. You don't have to come to town.
They've got plenty of Fritos, corn, and cheese and chili for those Frito pies.
And big pickles.
Yeah, they have big pickles.
I don't know why those are such a big deal, but
I don't know how many kids you see walking away from there, and that pickle's about as big as they are.
Anyway, but that's R.C. Taylor Distributing, and they go 125 to 150 miles around Lubbock. And you ought to just check it out and just see what the pricing is. There's worth a lot to have them bring it to you.
Yep.
I mean, a lot of people drive to town to go to these big stores and get these huge cars. You got to load it. Of course, I know you know what you need.
Yep.
Anyway, all right, R.C. Taylor Distributing Company. Well, that was fun. Well, we've had a great start to the show with the Bobby Davis tribute. His service is at 11 at Lake Ridge Methodist Church on 82nd Street, 4701 82nd Street. And I bet there's going to be a full house for that one.
Yep. He touched a lot of lives and over a really, really tremendous coaching career.
He did. I just always liked him.
Yep.
I didn't tell the story while they were here, but maybe I did. I think I told it off the air that I was doing broadcasting, and back then, I mean, we used to do friendship games.
Yep.
But now everything's kind of separated out, and I do Lubbock ISD. But for years I was doing Coronado because Tanner was going to Coronado, and I would go. And when we went out to play friendship, or they came to Lowry, I would go get a recording of the coaches and talk to them and play it pregame, and I kept asking Bobby Davis about the rivalry because they share Frankfort.
Yeah.
You live on one side, you go to Coronado. You go on the other, you go to Friendship.
Yeah.
And he just every time he goes, "There ain't much of a rivalry. We don't ever win." And of course, they started winning and kept winning.
Yeah.
And he built an amazing program out at Friendship.
And he was just a guy that stayed in one place a long time and built a program. It wasn't just a football team. It was a program. A lot of coaches stayed with him. A lot of players, didn't transfer, didn't do anything, just grew up in that system, went through their junior high program. Like Donnie said, it starts when you're in the 7th grade and, you're 6 years of your life, and he influenced those 6 years.
He did. And I liked what Jerry Reynolds said. He said, the coaches stayed together.
Yep.
I mean, that's a key to build a great program. You got to have coaches.
Yeah, the consistency that brings is just it's priceless as far as building a program in any sport.
Yeah, but certainly at Friendship they did that, and then Brad, his son, continued it on for quite a while, and then left and went to Grandview and won a state championship.
Yep. And
it's really a cool story. The Davis family and Del Marie, our thoughts and prayers for all the family, and for Brent and Brad and Brian, who's the oldest, and we just lift up the whole family and pray that they'll have a great service as they celebrate his life today at 11 o'clock. And then, of course, Donnie Hart was here. I love Donnie Hart.
Yeah.
I do. I think he's awesome.
Yeah. He's worthy of getting back and talking about his Tech days.
He is.
He was a local kid that stayed here, and And, I mean, he worked his way into playing.
He did.
He was a hard worker. And
he had a great career.
Yes, he did. He had a really good career and was a local favorite. And I think he was a Wes Welker type before Wes. And, you know, he had some speed.
He'd go across the middle,
Yeah,
too.
he had some speed, and he wasn't afraid to mix it up.
He averaged, get this, Craig, Donnie did. We didn't say it while he was here, but he had 125 receptions for his career, 2,211 yards. He averaged 17.7 yards per catch. That's really good, and scored 17 touchdowns.
Yep.
And he's just, I mean, he had no rushing yards,
Yep.
but just an amazing guy, an amazing player. And now his daughter is a great track athlete, Mackie, and she's going to Oklahoma State.
Yep, she's a quarter-miler, sprinter type that could advance to the 800, but he said that they've taken her to school. She's in her dorm room and enjoying life and working hard on the books and on the track team.
Yep, that'll be good. Well, we appreciate them coming in, Jerry Reynolds and Donnie Hart, and because I know, you know, Donnie's speaking at the service, and I know he's nervous. A lot of his old playing buddies are going to be here, and
you know, and I know Coach Reynolds didn't allude to it much, but he and Coach Davis and Coach Black and that whole group were very, very close.
Yeah.
I mean, they did a lot of things together. They took some vacations together. They took trips together, and I think their whole families were very close for a long period of time.
And then Stacy Kelly was here with Casa of the South Plains, and Blake Beatty came along again. He always comes in for this when the Flatlander tournament's in town, and that's out at the Ross course going on today and tomorrow.
And you might explain why he has kind of got a little notoriety as far as coming into the Flatlanders is his attire.
Well, he wears a kilt every year. I don't. Anyway, on the Saturdays, he wears a kilt.
He's known as the guy who wears the kilt.
I know. Well, he shows up the first couple of days and doesn't have the kilt, and they're all everybody's, where's the kilt? And it's a Saturday deal.
Yep.
But he's Jennifer Adams. If you want to know some people that are, I don't know whether I guess we could say this. Mark Adams' former wife, and Julie Law, my sister-in-law, are both advocates currently.
That is awesome.
Yeah.
That is truly awesome. It takes somebody with a special heart, because
it's cool.
You're going to see some things that just break your heart, and the good part about it is you're helping mend those hearts. And those advocates, there was a guy that was a donor at Tech when I was at Tech. His name was O.R. Van Ness, and he's the one that kind of explained being an advocate to me, and he was very passionate about being an advocate. He really enjoyed it, but he really enjoyed seeing some of those kids really benefit from having somebody stand up for them.
You know, we could have tied it into sports, because I know a lot of these kids probably grow up and play sports. And you think about the advantages that you and I had growing up in a stable family with supportive family members, and all the benefits we had from that, Craig. And a lot of these kids don't have that. They're just out there fighting it on their own.
You
almost.
know, you take for granted the fact that you go out there and you work out, and you come home at 7 o'clock or what time it is after working out in the hot sun or whatever in the gym and sweating and everything, and you know you've got a hot meal there waiting for you. A lot of those kids don't.
Yeah.
And that's what these advocates do. They try to put them in better situations, and my heart goes out to all of them, because it's a job that is needed, but it's also a job that is very hard.
Well, and you can help if you got money and you want to help. This is a great cause. I think you could see just from listening to Stacy talk about it today. This is an organization that is committed, and your money will not be wasted. It'll be put to good use. And if you can just go to casaofthesouthplains.com, it's what she said, I believe.
.org.
.org.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I bet that's right.
Yeah.
Because they're an organization, aren't they? Yep. casaofthesouthplains.org. And you can find a donate deal, and you can get it on a monthly help deal. But
or you can volunteer.
Or be an advocate.
Yeah.
To go through the process of become an advocate, which they need. That's one thing she said. we need so many more advocates, and we need men.
Yep.
We need men to come in there and be advocates too.
Yep.
Not the women. The women are doing. I don't know what you talked about the heart a minute ago. I think maybe the women have more of a heart. They see because they're mothers, you know, and they see how important it is.
Maternal instinct.
Yeah, but anyway, that's what you can do. All righty. Well, I mentioned the nights, the kickoff night, tech night out at the Knights of Columbus Hall on the 24th, and that's going to Coach McGuire's going to be there. Kenny Perry, Wes Kitley. And they'll all be talking, and it's just a fun night. Great atmosphere. The going band from Raiderland is going to be there. They'll be playing. The Tech cheerleaders will be there, and you can get tickets to select a seat. So go get your tickets for the 24th. I've been several times. This is the 63rd annual, Craig.
I was just going to ask you. I just was going to ask you if you knew how many years.
That's
in a row
unbelievable.
That is unbelievable, and it's been a very well attended event every time they've had it, and it's just a fun time, and it kind of kicks off the season. And Knights of Columbus Tech Night, and once that's here, it's not
we're there.
Football's not too far away.
And mentioning that, we also have the Red Raider Kickoff Luncheon, Red Raider Club, and that's on the 22nd, and it's at the Civic Center, and it's always packed.
Yep,
there's great crowds there for that. And it'll be a lot of fun.
Yep. And I think I got an email that said that there were a very limited amount of tables left or something, but you might call Monday if you wanted to, the Red Raider Club, and see if there is some space available. There may not be, but it's worth the call because it's always a fun event. Tom Stone and his soccer group is introduced. Coach Greystone in the volleyball, and then Coach McGuire. He's one of those guys that lights the room up as soon as he walks in.
He does.
So it's going to be a good kickoff.
It will be. And Tom Stone's, they got beat at Penn State, who's ranked number 4 in the country.
Yep.
Tech is number 8 in the country. Yep. And they got beat 4-0 by Penn State, which is really a good team. But I think we're going to have – I think there's another guy that has stayed, Coach Tom Stone, and built the program. And we're going to have that with Joey McGuire. Yeah. And I think we're going to have it with Grant McCaslin. And I know we're going to have it with Krista Gurley because she's a Red Raider. She's a late Raider.
Yep.
But and, of course, Wes Kitley, look what he's done, Coach.
Yep.
Just you come, and here's the other thing. He keeps his coaches.
Yes.
People are after those coaches.
Yeah. Cliff Felkins, his weight coach, has been here since day one.
Yeah.
He just and that's the way Coach Kitley is. He is where he wants to be.
Exactly.
I'm going to tell you for a fact, he's had opportunities to go elsewhere.
Yeah.
And he is where he wants to be, and he has built a world-class track program at Texas Tech.
Yes, and Tim Tadlock's going to do the same thing, Coach.
Oh, no doubt.
He's already got it going.
No doubt.
If Tim can figure out he's one of those old school coaches.
Yeah.
NIL,
Yeah.
Transfer portal, what's that mean?
Yeah, that and the transfer portal, and baseball just has that, you can leave after 3 years to go, to the pros or something, and that's just about the time some of them are starting to develop, know, and Tim's got 2 or 3 things going against him, but boy, has he done a great job. I'm telling you, recruiting, he finds some gems, and they do such a good job of developing players. He'll take some of those pitchers as a freshman that, are just scrawny little old freshmen, and by the time they're juniors and seniors, they're some of the top pitchers in the country. And Tim's built a good program. And it's kind of, Tim and Wes both are in a position where, they still have to go out and do a lot of good recruiting, but they've got kids that are calling now and saying, is there any interest? Especially in the transfer portal. There's some of these kids know if I go to Tech, I've got a chance to hit the big time.
Yes. Speaking of the transfer portal and great recruiting, how about softball?
Oh.
How was that?
Yeah. Well, it started when we hired
Jerry Glasgow.
Yeah, from Louisiana.
Yeah.
And he brings, I think, 7 or 8 of his Louisiana players, which, it's if you're going to bring some players, you better bring them from a good team. Well, he had a good team. They had good teams at Louisiana. Yeah. And then he puts the cherry on top by getting a player of the year in softball, a pitcher, which if you know and follow softball, that pitching position is, you got to have it.
It's everything almost.
You got to have it. And he went out and got the best there was.
The best.
Yep. The very best, the player of the year. So
we immediately became a national championship contender.
No doubt.
With the players he brought with him, the players we already had, and the new ones coming in, and this pitcher, we are a national champion potential.
Yes, no doubt.
I can't wait to see what's going to happen. We're going to get Jerry on the show.
If you didn't have softball tickets, you better hurry up if there's any left, because there's not going to be many left.
It's going to be so fun.
Yep.
Jerry Glasgow, and 5 Sun Belt titles that he won at Louisiana. Yep. 773 winning percentage over 7 seasons.
Yep. And I think he's been to the NCAA tournament, been to the World Series 2 or 3 times, I think.
I can't wait.
Yep.
It's good.
Yep.
Texas Tech's got it going on, I'm telling you, and a lot of that's because of Kirby Hocutt.
Yep.
He is outstanding athletic director.
You've been listening to the Sports Talk with Thetford and Ashby podcast from Double T 97.3. Catch the show live Saturday mornings from 9 to noon on Double T 97.3 FM or on the Double T 97.3 mobile app.